Welcome to my life as an NPC. I am Carbon Scythe, and today we're going to continue to play The Ladder. And so in the last episode we had just finished going through the mansion together with Zack as Hannah Wright to take pictures and make a small interview about this new mansion of ours, because we have bought it now. The Ermengarde mansion is now becoming the Wright mansion. And well, let's see how many rights makes a wrong and things like that. Something. Let's go. Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. It is dark. For a moment I thought the electric work is not up to par. But that clearly is not the case, as every other room is bright with artificial light. Finding a light switch is a monumental task, considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch, something that will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there is a distinct feeling of being watched. Oh no. It unsettles me and spurs me on in my search. And when I do open the lights, there is a hiss.
I'll turn the lights down, woman!
Right. There at the end of the hall, my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. Never seen green wine though. But let's see what updates we have here. Oh, it's 2 updates it seems. The Wright couple moved to their newly bought mansion today and was already preparing for a housewarming party. Hannah and Marianne were seen having breakfast together, with their former complaining and accidentally divulging too much details about her marital problems. Hannah met Zachary Seal, a freelance photographer from Luxury Living in Interior Design magazine. Zachary was tasked to interview Hannah to take pictures of the mansion and its new owners. What should have been a professional meeting ended up being friendly and perhaps too personal. Yeah. And new relationships. Not sure, but I'm guessing that we got something good on Zachary here. Here we go. However, I can feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green liquid gleam mockingly at me.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe? You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke. Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me. Helps with the hangover, dearest.
You drank? When?
This morning, love. Don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons. And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hannah, darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you? If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that.
Oh, you gaslighting son of a bitch.
You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done. So, what was it then, What were you doing?
What's it gonna be? Should I tell the truth or tell a little lie? I was with Zachary.
I was talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
And yeah, that put a minus on Luke. I do not mind that. The thing is just that he might attack her if he gets too sad about it. I have no reason to tell lies. It's not like I'm guilty of anything. But as Luke's expression turns, it makes me feel like I actually am to blame for something. He has a way of making me laid bare with just a look. He's a racist piece of shit. That had really struck me when we first met years ago.
That giant... You were having a secret meeting behind my back and it was with him?
Secret meeting, please, boy!
What are you implying?
I'm implying nothing. I'm just worried. You know better than to trust those media types, Buttercup.
Media types, okay.
He must have been really friendly to occupy your time like that. But all he's looking for is his next big headline.
He's a photographer for an interior design magazine.
Doesn't matter. You let one little thing slip, one wrong move, and it'll blow up in the telly in the morning. He'll go to his journalist friends to gossip and make a quick quid.
His eyes were the first thing I had noticed about him. They were like nature, the grass and the trees. Wonderful and breathtaking. Now, as I look at him, he had nothing but the same shade of green as a bloody damn drink in his hand.
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Hey! Yeah, bite back, lady.
Excuse me again? We're talking about you, Hana.
No, I am pretty sure we were talking about you and your drinking problem, Luke, right?
Hangover forgotten during the course of this little spat, the man jumps to his feet and seats. It looks like he is barely stopping himself from throwing the nearest thing he can find.
Oh, it is not a problem. I can stop whenever I want.
Dude, you were throwing such a hissy fit just this morning when you were realized that you could not go to Cardiff.
And even if it was, I think you can very well stay out of it, as it only affects my own kidneys or liver or whatever the bloody hell that shite pollutes. Whatever aftermath that occurs because of your little chit-chat with the affects the both of us, however.
Look, Luke, nothing will happen.
Yeah, I'm going to blur that out. I'm not risking anything. I don't mind cursing in general, but some words are simply not appropriate, and I will block that word out.
You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
Well, now I think I'm getting jealous. Or I would be if it weren't for this damn headache.
Maybe you should drink more.
Oh!
Maybe.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served, well, grander than usual anyway, most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters for starters, and a tranche of turbot with purple sprouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mates. To finish it all off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are clearly away, Luke stands, kisses me goodnight, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it feels cold. There is no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I have faced before. This is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. Those are ghost cries. No! The wailing is far away and muffled. Yet at the same time it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me! Ah! Hearing it sends a chill down my spine and makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen. I am so fucking terrified. During supper, Hannah found Luke drinking absinthe, and this caused an argument. While Hannah was angered by her husband's drinking problem, Luke was suspicious of his wife's activities, having not seen her the whole afternoon despite finishing Luxury Living's interview early. Then there was this crying woman. I don't wanna. Oh no, that's from our dream! And into the wine cellar hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
Grab a fucking gun! I'm curious and concerned, but there is no way I'm going down into the dark and humid underground. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite a connoisseur. However, I also cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. If it is one of the household help, they surely need some talking. After all, this wouldn't be the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as our staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it was either Johans or I who'd calm them down, who'd help them figure out how to go on about things. Unfortunately, I'm not in high spirits right now, so I'm not as fully benevolent. Ah! So I will. Ah! Ah! Call them out. We do not touch the hatch based on their nightmare. I knock 3 times. Waiting for any sort of reply yields me no result, and I've already touched the floor hatch far too many times than what I'd like. I take a deep breath before reaching out again to whoever's inside. I learned from experience that people respond better to kindness than threats. Shouting angrily would not help in coaxing them out.
You, in the cellar, do come out. We don't want Luke waking up and finding you in there, do we? That man would go ballistic thinking someone was trying to steal his precious wine.
Still nothing.
You can have a good cry, just not in there, yes? Why don't you come out here and we can have a cuppa and you can tell me all about whatever it is you're bawling about?
With how long I'm standing here, however, I'm starting to think myself as a fool. I did not want to acknowledge the other feeling I have, especially as the wailing took an eerie turn. The thought of being played with didn't sit too well with me, and I had to stop myself from getting too hot-headed as I tried to try one more time.
Now you come out of there! That is an order from the lady of the house, do you hear me? Why, Iota?
I freeze as a hand clamps down on my shoulder. The dread I've been feeling all this time makes itself known as I kneel, unmoving, not even daring to breathe. I can feel my heart pounding against my chest. But the touch is gone as quickly as it had seized me. Oh, fuck you! It is only Johans I see when I look back.
Apologies, madam, for touching you like that. You were not responding to my voice, and you looked about ready to wake the whole mansion up.
I was... I'm sorry. I was getting rather loud, wasn't I? But that crying woman in there, we must do something about her.
He grows silent for a moment and just looks concerned. At least I'd like to interpret this as concern, given how stoic our head butler usually is. Or rather, it must have been concern, as he takes off a glove and presses the back of his hand in my forehead before a worrisome inquiry.
I beg your pardon. What crying woman? Are you feeling well, madam?
In the cellar. Can't you hear her?
Oh, you still hear her?
Madam Hannah, no one is down there.
No one?
What?
The cellar is locked. Only Luke and I have duplicates of the keys. Nobody is down there.
I stare at him in disbelief. But when I listen once more, I hear no crying. Tugging at the hatch for good measure proves his words to be true too. The thing won't budge unless I had a key, short of using power tools on it.
Perhaps it is time for you to go to bed, madam. You are simply tired and hearing things, a perfectly normal human experience. But if you are still experiencing auditory hallucinations in the morning, you are free to consult with me.
There is a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach as he helps me up to my feet. What he says makes sense, and who am I to question someone who used to be a doctor? Wow. I'm just tired. That's it. Long day of moving, the interview, dealing with Luke. That has all drained me of any proper sense.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I just need some sleep, that's all.
Of course I'm right. Go on then. Gute Nacht.
Gute Nacht. Gute Nacht.
Good night, Johannes. Good night, house.
It's just fatigue. Now, let's see here. Branching tree, where did we... So, something could have happened here, but where are we right now? Oh, so... Ah, I avoided death, it would seem. So this is where if I were to open a cellar and walk down, something branching off here, and here is a QTE or whatever it's called when I could have died, but I didn't. Oh, that is just horrifying. Yeah, so I was right to not go down there. But it also does make things more difficult with figuring things out. It's just fatigue. That's what I kept telling myself, although I can't ignore the strange feeling in my gut. Either there is something wrong with this house, or there is something wrong with my head. Sleep will be elusive tonight. Okay. Luke is already gone by the time I rise. There isn't a single hide nor hair from him to be found, and trying to call him on his mobile is a bust, as it only goes straight to his voicemail. That's twice in a row he's gone on me. And for him to disappear today, of all days, is every bit upsetting because of what's to come. What's to come, though? The morning is once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Fortunately, I am more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I haven't the faintest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today is going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of the house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully, he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house, after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright mansion. Every person of importance from Luxborn is invited. There will be a few guests flying in as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances who are made no less important, regardless of their status in society. Marianne and I discuss business and last-minute touches to the house before finalizing everything. Not that there is much change from our original plans. Bar any huge additions to the property itself, the mansion is nearly 100% complete.
You have certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
Well, I can't take all of the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the right mansion. There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Oh. Did he now? Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insisted is completely practical. In the end, he had to acquiesce and didn't give him any choice in the matter. I even bought this wonderful wooden crib from an antique store yesterday, including some toys. Just in case anyone bring their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have guests to spend the night. If we absolutely have to, we often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead, always at Luke's own insistence. And on the off chance that we actually let someone stay, the bedroom in the opposite wing is still up to the task.
Oh, no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. He may as well let me have this one thing.
Well, you are bending over backwards for this dude. Just leave him already. Knee him in the nuts and go. Well, throw him out rather. No, I did not agree to him having a helipad.
Alright then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around then? It'd be best if we can note down his requests right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Well, no. Where is he? Who knows where? I don't.
No, he's not around.
Is he dead in the cellar? That would be amazing if he's dead in the cellar. She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? After 7 long years, I'd already gotten used to him. I should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more than to complain, to whinge about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundry is simply taboo among high society. To do so will make you a ripe target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, a lot of them, really. Or most of them at least. There are always good ones like Rochelle Lee. But put your trust in the wrong person and you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting, he's having marital problems and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Oh, is that so now? Perhaps I am being a bit too rash, a bit too hot-headed in divulging details. But I thought myself clever with a plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne's raised brow making me unsure whether she is interested or not. Although that does make things better if she has no interest and therefore has no hidden intent to utilize whatever I might say to her.
They've been married for a long time and they've hit a... how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband.
Wow, you're just saying whatever is going on in your relationship now.
But it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am? Do you want me to be honest, or...
Do you want her to be honest? Be honest with me. I don't like how it's read. It feels like it's a wrong choice, you know? Could we... do we have any neutral colors? Like, highlight the option with a yellow border. No, not yellow. White border. Or, you know, something.
Be honest with me, Marianne. I
Real
don't
talk.
need someone to sugarcoat it.
Ask Marianne's honest advice or something like that. And woohoo! She skyrocketed there. Marianne likes us.
I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip of her coffee while I stare into my own cup of tea. The silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she will never answer my question. I suppose that I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it. She simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. And then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter, I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We put up the act for a perfect couple for years, although I hadn't always been an act. Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. It is a necessity to her career, and she's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's it.
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle.
Jeez.
But if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else. Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to be their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
So you're saying they should divorce?
She did not say that.
Nothing as drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives.
Gee, thanks. It's not like this is a horror game where fear is a big part of it. And it will certainly control your lives.
But it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships. So grain of salt and all that.
She trails off, having said her piece, and leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There is a calm despite the nature of what has just been discussed. To say that her words make me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not concerned her advice is a lie. And to say that this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility. Others have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated long and happy ones as well. My own parents celebrated their choral anniversary before they passed away. Choral. How many years is that? Choral is 35 years. But 7 years? 7 years isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where our relationship can bring us. And at the same time, 7 years... Well, it hasn't been entirely made of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever. It's not supposed to anyway. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that these small spats, these little disagreements, will turn into an all-out resentment. The idea that we will grow to hate each other with every fiber of our being scares me. I can't even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turned sour. Story updated. When did he start to seek other women, lacking in ulterior motives? When did we start to cooperate only to suit our materialistic greed and attention-seeking ways? Money and success. Fame and glamour. Are those the only reason we still stay together? Here is a cough before Marianne clears her throat. I must have been quiet for so long, and I move to apologize when she stands up. We both end up on our feet, unsure on how to proceed. Some sort of awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down or not.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay and chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
Ew.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you. You need to say hello to the Lees, at least.
But the Lees are the one who introduced her to you.
If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
Oh, okay. They just knew about her, possibly.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
Ooh, journal update. The scene outside the party is great. It's a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of the temp agency which provides staff of Right Enterprises in the hospitality sector. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses and their staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and serveware good for several dozen people and then some. Chefs and bartenders tail after Johans, looking like scared little children as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar. To peruse the stocks, to select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking. Now, let's see what was said here, though. On the 28th. Ah, such a pretty picture. I hate that. Hannah Marianne was seen discussing the mansion's finishing touches before the housewarming party. On a whim, Hannah asked for Marianne's opinion about a certain couple having marital problems. It leaves a former with something to think about after the latter excused herself from attending the party.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails.
Schnell! Please! Snälla! Schnell! Please!
Snails are for the dishes.
A string quartet readies up to the play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill their air with idle chatter. Floral decor worth thousands fill vases, wreaths and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. Pretty. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. It is followed by a simple cake, yes, a 5-tier white chiffon one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. But despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will attend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind looking at all of this. I only see Luke everywhere. These are the grand things that Luke wanted to have for the party. I had wanted a small, elegant and simple gathering, with only a select few invited, namely the people who I would actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to catering them.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
I think he's dead in the cellar, or passed out at the very least. The entire thing screamed Luke right. And I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman, who made her own name, her own career and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I still am today, but it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and sitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me, just because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I start at the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was the calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor liaisons and public relations, supervision of staff and... well, I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite a attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth craving for my parents' approval. Failing that, I turned to others, looking for praise from anyone who would give it, however fleeting it all was. And Luke, oh Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He had me distinguishedly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights, before we were married, where we talked about everything and anything. From big things like business, society and philosophy, to little things such as what we had for breakfast or whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's most of my fault, isn't it? They told me that husbands preferred wives who are docile and subordinate. A woman who'd always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children and to take care of them in his absence. Well, no, that was something you did in the early 1900s, if even still then. They said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society. But I listened. Before I called further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Have you been in contact with him, though? I need to know that. Have you been in contact with him?
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors, then. We mustn't tarry.
Tarry? Never heard that word. Cars line up the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand Tourers, supercars, even the odd high-end muscle car or two, convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen being parked by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it's too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media vans as well. They are all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxborn. So far. Who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays?
Welcome, welcome everyone. Please, make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm, if not strange sunshine we are experiencing, before gloomy skies inevitably return. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. What are you doing here, of all people? Such as that young man with his oriental air, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Ah, Rebecca is here. Okay, so what's going on here? Is the whole crew here? Or the rose-haired woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure of why she is here exactly?
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
Huh. I see Zachary, the photographer as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
And then there are people like the chief inspector. People who I can never be too sure about. People who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna.
Yes, I've been smoking and drink whiskey for the past 30 years, yes.
Husband still missing, I see?
Yes.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee.
Ooh!
The doctors again?
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies.
Ladies?
It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal, you've hidden his body.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead. The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Rochelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out.
God damn.
Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby?
No!
Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Oh, okay, you were talking about yourself at the moment, not about me and Luke. Have I mentioned how I don't trust him, no matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift, I suppose.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As our first hour passes by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. But that is something we will talk about in the next episode. I will cut off here. Yes, I was always planning on cutting off this episode as we enter the mansion and have a full-on party in the next episode. I was very lucky that I did not enter the cellar, because I would have seen some shit. And that it would be incredibly... Oh, that would have changed this party completely. But if you want to see more of this, you will have to come back. And remember, just because you're not the main character doesn't mean you're not important. Goodbye, everyone.